Blue Blizzard looks ready to go this morning.
I agree.
Will you open the trunk for me, please?
Man.
And just a couple things to sit in there. So how many miles was 90%?
I didn't look up, but
We'll look in a minute.
Yeah,
okay.
I was trying to adjust the seat and get everything set.
Look at the size of that trunk.
I got to say,
that is, so you could carry a body back there.
pretty much.
So what's the cup holder situation in this car?
There's only 2.
There's 2? It's just 2? There's no back seat comes forward and there's one in the middle. There's no
I'd say this
behind the console here, like in the X. It's just these 2 and that's it. Yeah, because this is the no center console. Johnny says there's only 2 cup holders in this entire car. Spoiled X drivers, us. Right?
Yep.
So Donnie, how many miles did we get at 90%?
220 miles.
Okay, well it's been sitting there a little bit. It might have actually charged us slightly more than that and lost a few while it was sitting, but
It's possible.
plus I drug it to 90. I don't know if that's a precise 90. It may or may not have been, but so 220 for an 85D at 90%. So it's 44 miles, 57 minutes to get over to Carthage where we're headed. It's not a super far ride. We're basically headed to sort of towards Sanford. So, you know, round trip showing 43%. I'm sure we'll do some driving around, but, you know, it never hurts to look just to make sure. So Don's had a couple of comments. These are not complaint comments. These are just things you notice when you usually drive a Model X and you find yourself in a Model S.
Right.
One, the door, the side of the door, it's higher.
Yeah.
And his arm, he says his elbow is up and his hand is down, and he probably could get used to it, but it's not where he really wants it.
Right. It's more than just different. It's just slightly less comfortable.
I don't notice it. It's comfortable for me. I really didn't know. I don't notice that. And then he wanted to move the headrest up. You can see the headrest is too low for him, and they don't adjust in the S.
Yeah.
Plus there's no door pocket. Not that we were going to totally move in, but you know, I can totally see why people mentioned, we won't say complain, but mentioned that they would like a door pocket.
Yep.
And I guess there's one coming, or there's map pockets on the back of the seats coming for the X or something.
Right.
Don had me put her in comfort steering. I had moved it from sport to standard. At sport, you could hardly move the car. It felt like you were having to put your whole body into turning the wheel. Standard was good enough for me, but Don wanted comfort. I probably like comfort better.
Well, I guess it makes it, I guess maybe Ruby's in comfort. I don't know.
I don't know either.
The weight of the steering in whatever standard was, it just felt heavier than I was used to. I guess I like a light steering. You know,
at least for Saturday driving on the back roads.
Right. Yeah. And then what else?
Don said he can tell the car isn't as top heavy as Ruby. This car doesn't lean into the curves quite the same.
It stays stuck or it's flat, whatever way you want to say it.
Yep. Well, don't worry. Well, number one, he's not complaining. We're just highlighting things we noticed driving the S today. And number two, if he says one thing too many, I'll have him pull over and I'll drive, because this car is like, you know, for an occasional drive instead of the X, it's a lot of fun.
I like the heated steering wheel.
Yeah. Apparently when you get out and you leave it on, it starts up the next morning. It stays on, I guess. So Don's had me turn it off now, but it definitely warmed up the steering wheel. That was the only thing we didn't get on Ruby at the time. It was the winter package. I remember we both agreed, what would we need that for in Raleigh? Well, you know, as life would have it, it would have been nice to have, I guess.
Right.
If we ever need a new steering wheel.
Yeah.
It'll be a heated one, if they can do that. Don just flew us past the Mustang. He was doing 45 and a 55, and you know, we're not out here to be poking today, so.
Well, this is like my favorite road. It's twisty.
Yeah, I mean, there's like nothing out here.
Yeah, this is not like the mountain roads, super twisty. This is a significant twisty, and so, I mean, you definitely have sharper curves and easier curves, and so I very much enjoy driving this road.
Yeah. Well, Don's got his lumbar support going now.
Yeah.
He was commenting about Elon's height, and Don's just a little shorter than Elon. Not a lot, but a little bit. And you know, he said if this was his car, the sun visor would be gone. And I can see that because, you know, he doesn't need the sun visor. He's so tall, the little beam up there would, and he's wondering how a pano roof, the newer roof, would be versus this car.
Right. I'm actually back further than I normally would like to be, leaning reclined more.
To get your head on the headrest.
Right. I guess I like to sit up a little bit more.
Yeah, I told him I suspect Elon is in that slouch back racer position, and that's why his head is comfortable on the seat, I guess. But you know, Donnie, it's fine for a Sunday driver for me.
Oh,
I fit in that seat perfect. I don't have any problem getting in and out. It's not hurting me.
I didn't mean to imply that there was, you know, somebody was gonna like let me have a Model 3 or, I mean, a Model S. I'd take it. I could live with all these things. It's just, yeah, you get used to all this stuff.
I guess we just really love our Ruby girl. We knew when we bought her the X was the right car for us.
Well, it's
for multiple reasons, and we just love our Ruby girl.
Well, what happens is, and I don't notice it so much in the XB. You get that roof in the X that, you know, is really nice.
Yep. You get spoiled by it. You get used to it.
Seeing nothing.
Yeah,
in your
well,
vision.
even I have hit my head on the sun visor. Well, the seats in this car were adjusted all the way up. Like the two people that were in it were very short. They were high, and we've now moved both of them down to the lowest possible setting. But just saying, Dom's doing 60 and a 55, and that whatever that Infinity was that went past us must have been doing 75 or 80. Yeah. Don's actually following the guy in front of him and doing a little over the speed limit. That other car was flying.
Well, this guy was doing great. Now he's slowed down.
Yeah, you may have to go around him now. We needed some cash, so I ran into Walmart. I found 2 blue Model S just like the one we're driving. I just looked on top. I found 1 Model 3. I don't have time to go through the rest of them. Sanford's not that far, so if I want to come back and look through that Hot Wheels thing, I can. It's a pretty drive down here. There's my ride. I tried to get out and go in Walmart and leave my door open and wait for Donnie to close it. Can't do. You know me, if there's a mural and we're driving a Tesla, we're stopping. You know, there was this really hot guy driving a Tesla. I had to take a picture. Really?
Wow.
So we're cutting through Sanford now. I guess that stop cost us 15 or 20 minutes. It is what it is. We were hoping to make a little inauguration.
That's a handicap vet.
Yes, it did have a handicap plate on it. We were hoping to make a little inauguration for the museum down here, which is at 11, and I guess we're probably gonna just miss it. Sorry, Andy. What was I gonna say? Oh, I was gonna thank Tesla for giving us this loaner car to use while Ruby is being worked on, because you know, I'm in pretty good spirits today, and that's probably because we're not driving a gas car. We're driving a Tesla, even though we don't have Ruby, and it's a pretty day out there, and I never take the loaner cars for granted, and I just wanted to say thanks to Tesla for giving us this option this weekend. Look at the cotton. Common sight in North Carolina this time of year. This field has not been picked yet. There's still a good bit of white in the field even after it gets picked, but this field definitely has not been picked yet.
Yeah, this one looks like it's been picked.
Maybe, yeah. Fields of white.
That one doesn't look like it's been picked.
Nope. Dawn has put on autopilot for the first time today. I really think it was condensation yesterday. Obviously nobody took the autopilot housing apart. left a thumbprint in there and put it back together, right? I mean, that would have been, nobody did that. So it had to have been a little bit of water haze on the glass blocking the camera. Since she was parked in the garage overnight and we've been driving while we've been out, I think it's all dried up now, so we should be good. We've already seen a running steam car out on the highway with us. I didn't get the camera on quick enough though, and a lot of other fun stuff. And I guess now I'm glad Don was busy with the sink and he didn't fully detail this car yesterday. All right, there it is. I wonder if he's giving rides. Is that Andy? I see the black Model X down there. I'm thinking there's no other black Model X here. That's not Andy and Beast. The name of his Model X. So Jody was moving the Model X because it was parked near where the helicopter was landing, and the helicopter landing is throwing up a lot of sand. Wow, I wonder if we can get a ride in a helicopter today, Johnny. Let's go! Johnny's pretty excited. Andy was right. He's gonna love the event today. I've been on the track with Kyle. I ain't afraid of no helicopter. Seriously, like, let's go. Yeah, I got sand in the face there, though. That was pretty intense. Wow. This display of equipment and memories from Durham Brazing and Welding Works, Durham, North Carolina, has been made possible by the B. Murray Memorial Fund, Triangle Community Foundation, the Murray family, the City of Durham, and the Museum of Durham History, Midwest Railroad Services, and the Eder family, Custom Steel, Tilton's Crane Service, Lex Kelly, Bill McCall, Ronnie Too, and the many volunteers that donated much of their time, energy, and efforts. Thank you. Dedicated to all the sages of Ronnie Street, September 2019. Huh. So this is the well at the University of Chapel Hill, and Durham Brazing and Welding Works formed the steel frame for the structure. This is the Victory Bell, awarded annually to the winner of the Duke University and University of North Carolina football game. Durham Brazing and Welding created the actual car, and the bell came from a train that had been decommissioned. During World War II, Durham Brazing and Welding Works created parts for destroyer escort warships, including air ducts. Ike Murray Jr. can be seen above with some of the ductwork. One of these ships, the USS Slater, is fully restored and moored on the Hudson River in Albany, New York as the destroyer Estork Historic Museum. Originally established by Ike Murray Sr. and Baxter Sapp in 1923, Durham Brazing and Welding Works was a family-run repair and custom fabrication shop located at 322 Roney Street. The Murray family, their business, and the iconic storefront have been recognizable to Durhamites for generations. While the story of the business is unique in itself, the machines behind the work also have stories to tell. Durham Brazing and Welding Works closed its doors in 2018 after the passing of Ike Murray Jr., and yet nearly a century's worth of metal work has left a lasting legacy in Durham and beyond. Buffalo Iron Worker. The Iron Worker was manufactured by the Buffalo Forge Company in 1953. This machine could perform two separate tasks. It could punch uniform 1-inch holes through metal and could also cut lengths of angle iron. The Iron Worker was used to fabricate the trash racks used to filter out debris from the intake at Lake Michie near Bahama. I think that's actually pronounced Bohema. The machine captured the eye of everyone that entered the shop, and the view and sound of the large flywheel spinning was as memorable as the loud kerchunk when metal was cut or punched. The user pulled a lever that was connected to a bicycle chain and sprocket, which dropped the blade to shear the metal. The flywheel would keep right on spinning 30 minutes after the machine was cut off. It is something you never forget. Scott Murray. The press brake. One of the shop's most iconic machines was the custom-built press brake that was purchased in 1939. Andy Feemster recalled, "My grandfather, Big Ike, and his cousin Joe went up north to meet the manufacturer to go over the design. They were taken to a fancy restaurant, pulled out their pencils, and drew up the specs on the tablecloth. After lunch, they bought the tablecloth and took it to the manufacturer, who used it as the blueprint to build the press. The massive 300-ton press brake arrived in Durham on a flatbed train car. Because it was so tall, the press had to sit in a 3-foot deep pit at the shop to fully operate the jaws. Using a hydraulic system, the machine could bend a 20-foot long piece of 3/8-inch steel. It was often used to make the truck beds for fire departments, Coca-Cola, and ice delivery companies. To show off the machine, Scott Murray's Uncle Lee would skillfully crack walnuts in the powerful jaws." The rollers. While Durham Brazing and Welding Works often purchased their powerful machines, in this case they built their roller machine from the transmission of an old Model T car and rolls that used to be axles on trolley cars that ran up and down Durham's Main Street. The machine's design was not entirely intuitive. One employee became the subject of the company's lore when his thumb got stuck due to confusion about the machine's forward and reverse pedals. Rollers were used to bend sheet metal into round forms. For example, one of the first jobs employee Pat Hill had was to fabricate metal linings for 125-foot long chiller pools for the Purdue and Tyson chicken processing. The Airco shape burner. The Airco shape burner, or electronic flame cutter, consisted of multiple devices used together to cut metal plates up to a 4-inch thick intricate shapes. A beam of light guided a tracing device along a template, and torch then moved in unison to cut the same pattern accurately into metal. While many of Durham Brazing and Welding Works machines predated World War II, the electronic flame cutter was featured in Productivity News for potentially being the oldest of its type in operation. In the 1970s, this electronic flame cutter was used to cut 9,000 pieces of 1/2-inch and 1-inch plate for nuclear power plant. I think Andy said Sharon Harris. The Cincinnati shear, manufactured in 1936 by Cincinnati Incorporated, the machine was used to shear or cut large pieces of metal. A hydraulic clamp system would hold the metal in place while the shear blade would slice through the thick metal. Scott Murray recalled, "The injuries came more from the hydraulic clamps and the shear, and more than one finger was shortened by their unforgiving nature. While the powerful shear eliminated some manual work, it still required skilled operators to maneuver the components." Oh, I see Johnny found Andy. Andy's in the purple. Wow. To see these old machines run, that is impressive. See them, let alone to see it moving. Yeah, right?
There's a lot of them around here.
Wow.
This was my father-in-law's shop.
How big of a piece of sheet steel would that be?
You could, I think it was 3/8, 90 degrees, 20 foot long. But they actually had it custom made.
That, I mean, it's huge.
Uncle started the business.
You can't hear what Andy's saying, but I guess this thing was built, I think he said, before World War II, like in 1939. There was a discussion around the tablecloth where they wrote on it the specifications. Johnny, I said right about now, I'm betting he wishes he'd grown up on a farm. I think he would have been a happy boy.
And it was operational until 2 years ago. A year ago.
I told Johnny I bet right now he wishes he'd grown up on a farm.
This was in downtown Durham.
Wow.
I mean, this was what built Durham.
Now what is this called?
This is a shear. You actually took a piece of steel up to, I think the capacity on this was 3/4, but it was rated half, I think half by 12. And you could slide a sheet in to a stop in the back, and this is like a knife. It's all the way down right now, but it would be raised up. You'd slide the sheet in, you'd push on this pedal, this rod, with your foot,
Right.
and the flywheel would engage, and it comes down like a pair of scissors
Wow.
and shears the piece
Cuts
of
it.
metal.
It just cuts it.
Yeah.
A straight cut.
Just like a pair of scissors.
Just like a pair of scissors.
Wow.
And then the drop piece falls off the back.
They don't make them like that no more, Andy, you know?
That's it?
All that pressure? Yeah, but it's a flywheel. When you start this thing, it's a big worm drive.
Right.
It's a flywheel and you're spinning. When you shut this thing off, it would take over 30 minutes for it to stop.
Wow.
Because of what mass.
Wow.
So it's a small motor. It's only like a 5 horsepower motor, and it would take it a while to get it up to speed. But then that's
The inertia,
You
yeah.
just, it only needed that energy for that short.
Right.
These engineers in it, this flatbed 2-ton truck with this roll 3x3x3/8 angle, about this big around.
Right.
And they all pull up. It's on the back of the truck. Yeah, this is Sharon Harris nuclear plant. It's out of tolerance. It had the blueprints and all that stuff. And Lee, my father-in-law, he's looking at it. He always used a Lufkin chrome clad, 12-foot tape measure.
Right.
He measured it. It was about 3/4 of an inch out of round.
Right.
They expected him to get it off the truck, put it in some sophisticated machine that you dial it all in. It's like, come on, things. We grabbed it and hooked it to the overhead hoist and brought it over. And I've been trying to find it. I think it's in the woods. It's a connecting rod from an old steam engine.
Okay.
And the base is about this big, and it's cast, and it comes up like this, and they just cut it off
Right.
to make an handle. Sure. And it just sat on the floor.
Right.
And he measured it, marked it with a piece of soapstone in a couple of places. And he said, come on, Feenstra. He always called me Feenstra. Rolled the thing up in a certain spot and had me hold it and grab this sledgehammer. Wham! And hit it one time. He said, that's it. And throw it up on the truck, and they're just in shock. They go over there and measure it. It's dead on it. And this is big production. And I asked him, I said, what's it for? It was a heating duct support ring for one of the offices or something. But they had all those guys come and all that.
Then we just do.
Literally what it do is this.
I missed this also.
Andy said,
I didn't catch that. Just sit there
Whoa.
and max all day.
Years now. Then this is one of the first.
some of the ties.
What it had.
What is it, Andy? A trace cutter?
This was World War II.
Okay.
You've heard of the Norton bomb sight?
Yeah.
This had a Norton, and it's in the storage. I told them to put it on. A Norton bomb sight mounted right here. And you cut out a piece of a pattern of anything you wanted burned out of steel. And you laid it on this, and they had a glass, later plexiglass sheet to cover it. And you brought this arm out, and it had a photo eye in the Norton bomb sight and a little wheel that would roll around and follow the tracing of what you cut out. And of course it would mimic, you could put multiple arms, torches on it to cut the pattern out. So this is literally air code, which is still in business today. This was like serial number 7 or 8, a very, very early serial number. Even the power supply for it was, vacuum tubes and
So,
Wow.
you wouldn't get away from the guy who was doing this? I mean,
well, I can't do it because we don't have to sit. If you have the Norton, see this little chain?
Yeah.
This little motor would run the Norton bomb sight up and down, and it would actually sit on the it had a wheel that bared down solid. And when you flipped it on, it's a photo eye, traced the piece out, and you just stood back and watched it.
so you didn't have to, you didn't, a human didn't Make it fall.
Once you started it, the
It
photo
signals.
the photo eye traced it.
Wow.
Servo motors that move this arm.
That's what I say. That's what's the piece that's
That's the
missing.
part
Is the
There's
sight.
a picture of it on their display over there that shows it.
So it's like an early CNC, but for
Yeah.
metal? Is that what it is?
Well,
is
I
that
mean, CNCs are still for metal, but
Right.
and they still make, now they're typically plasma.
Yeah,
But
plasma.
what you do is instead of tracing out a piece of paper, you do a CAD drawing.
That's right.
And the computer reads the CAD drawing
Sure.
and
Turns
works the
separate.
same mechanism. There's still a pentagram of mechanism that runs the torch heads around. Most of them are XY tables now. They've got little servos that run the head wherever it needs to go. If I remember in
Andy said this was a Navy piece bought post-war.
this set outside across from the shop, and it was a monster. It actually had tie bolts that went through here to keep the jaw,
Right.
unless you were cutting a really deep throat.
Big stuff,
And
right.
they never could keep them in it, because when you punch it, it would shatter the bolts, but it never would break the arm. But it had a set of dies in here that would, you know, flywheel, same thing, a big flywheel that would run a worm and drive the,
So that's like an eccentric in there?
yep, big cam in there.
God, how much pressure that could put.
Well, it had a capacity of 1.25 inch diameter through 1 inch. Shear 7/8 width, 1.25 inch.
Andy says this is a replica. Durham Brazing and Welding, which is where his father-in-law's shop was in Durham, North Carolina. They did a really nice job of moving the equipment here and setting it up, and wow. What is that? A Yuba ball tread tractor from Marysville, California. Wow. This is so exciting. I love this stuff.
That's steam.
Yeah, I love this stuff. Wow, there's so much to see here. I don't know how you see and take in everything. Normally I'm not into smoke, but I'm going to make a serious exception for this piece of equipment.
This is really more for just portable power.
Yeah, this is like the quietest piece of equipment here today so far. This piece of equipment is also running just as smooth and quiet as can be. I'm not sure what they're doing with the power right now. I guess just demonstrating it. Look at the size of that thing. My little vlogging camera today is refusing to do any more 4K video. It says it's too hot. So whatever that firmware did is it didn't help with the overheating on 4K, but at least I'm getting good HD video. The HD video is working fine. The guy told Dawn this thing moves at 3 miles an hour, baby.
Traffic jam at 2.3 miles per hour. I missed the steam ones that came by a minute ago.
exhilarating here today. It is. It's noisy and it's smelly, and there are the coolest, oldest devices, machines. I am having such a good time, and Johnny and Don are too. And
Yep.
it's just great.
Well, if you look at two of our best competitors here, they're newer to the sport than most of us here, so don't turn away. All right, we got it. All right, we're going to do the exact same this show, competitors. We're going to do the competitor ready, timer ready, 3, 2, 1, go. That's going to hit a couple times. Once the competitor's ready, give me a nod. Don't worry, you see. All right, competitor's ready. So competitor's ready, timer's ready. 3, 2, 1, go. And you see most of them coming around. Looks like old Jimmy's opening up 1 and 1. Daryl's you're going to see opening up with a 2-hit upwards pattern and a 2-hit downward pattern. Until they get to the center of the block, they're going to throw in 2 drivers, such as Daryl just did, and he's going to turn to the back side. Daryl's just about ready to go for the driver. Sounds like that block's a little bit dry, but he'll take it off here in just a second. Oh, and Jimmy's just about ready, and then off goes Jimmy. Really close heat. Oh, and the stump long.
Woo!
Weighted axes weighing about 2.5 pounds apiece with a handle that has to be a minimum of 24 inches long. The bullseye will be 5 points, going out to 1 point from the white to the red. They're going to get 4 throws. I believe that first throw coming up will be a 2 for Ryan.
They get an 8-inch start cut, and that's for safety. They was just starting on top without that starting cut, then it could skip off, catch them in the thigh, and that wouldn't be good. I've seen it. It's not a pretty good. The college shows they make them wear chaps and this, but we don't make them on this. They saw it and were pleased. I don't know if these guys have pulled before or not. Sort of trying to feel each other out there. You got to work together. You got to keep it flat. You got to keep your eye on the bottom of the cut. It's a lot going on. It don't look like much going on when you watch it, but there's a whole lot going on. All right. Sawyer's ready. Timer's ready. 3, 2, 1, go. Good start. Just got to keep it moving. Got to keep it flat. You got to go down with the saw. That way you can keep it flat as your saw. About to the little wood and a good cut. Watching the very bottom of the cut. That way you're always make sure that your teeth's in the wood. That takes the bouncing back and forth out. So anytime you're bouncing the log, you're not cutting. So you got to keep that saw good and flat. That way it's cutting the whole time. You start pulling down or pulling up on it, it's just making a spot in the middle, and then when you do flatten out, it cleans up on it. So whatever angle you start on is what you want to make all the way down. Alright. Saw's cleaned over. Sawyers look ready. Sawyer ready. Timer ready. 3, 2, 1, go! Good easy start. Now they're working back and forth. See how flat you're keeping it. That's a good cut. Cut wood the whole time. Go down with it. And coming out the bottom. Good saw right there. That's a good job. They'll get the times in. We'll write them down. Towards the end of the show, we'll read y'all who comes in first and what everything.
Be on 1 second to warm up your saws. All right, competitors, hands to the wood. Competitors ready, timers ready. 3, 2, 1, go. Coming up through the upcut, gains and catches him and gains the lead coming through the upcut. They were both very neck and neck.
We're across the street now from the main show, and there's a ton more stuff over here too. Now there's a purpose for a hit or miss, if I ever did see one. Ice cream. Oh my goodness, Donnie, look! Don't that bring back memories? Wow! A rare tractor building. Wow. I mean, this place just goes on for forever. Yeah.
Tractors, that one, this, that.
Yeah.
These are all built by people to be mini tractors. This is not what the real ones are a lot bigger. Especially this one.
Children and children at heart, please stay off the tractors. Well, hopefully they have one or two someplace here for pictures. This whole building is pedal tractors. Low and high and on the side. The Ederville soda shop. And I do believe it is authentic. Wow. Roast beef sandwich cost you 75 cents. Each one of the little booths here along the side has some other collection of antiques. This is all old scales. It's fascinating stuff, just fascinating. Oh wow. Horses and Indians. Old strollers. What's fascinating about the bike?
It's a John Deere.
It's a John Deere bike. Wow.
Here's a green and white one. And
Oh wow, a Harley Davidson bike too. John Deere 5-speed white, year 1972. Donnie, how'd you like to have had one of these pedal cars when you was a kid?
yeah, I gotta cut my.
Uncle Homer didn't have no pedal car on the farm?
I don't think so.
Did you get to ride his real tractors though?
Yeah.
Well, you know, then there's that.
Well, some of these are. I've been picking them up the front end, and they're really heavy.
Right, they look like they're cast.
Yeah, I would say.
I don't, those are pretty serious. What is that? Right, but from the 40s or 50s or something, huh? Yeah, this is real. This is serious. It's not really a toy. Yeah. Kid at heart. Don says that's a gasoline-powered unicycle up there.
Something tells me you had to be pretty crazy to try to ride that thing. steel wheels.
Why?
Because the pneumatic tires, they just always go flat.
Yeah, they rot out, they go flat. Sure do. Guaranteed to burn successfully on all grades of kerosene under all conditions at all loads up to its rated brake horsepower. So they kind of have the tractors of the same company grouped together. Looks like these rumbly ones always have the square, I'm gonna call it a funnel, I'm sure that's the wrong word, up at the front. Sort of their distinctive trademark. As much as I am not into gasoline today, I have a full appreciation for these restored older gas pumps. I just got to tell you, it's awesome. What year's that from?
I would say 20s.
Really? So by the time you come along, they didn't look like that no more.
No. I've never seen gas pumped out, real gas pumped out of one of these. They would pump it up, and then that's how then it would drain down. In other words, it's sort of like a measuring cup. You fill it up and then put it into your car.
Wow. That's fascinating. That's beautiful. I'm so glad to see it restored here in a protective spot. Imperial tractor. That is a piece of art right there. I've had those times where I wanted to go into the garage and decide whether I should drive a Model X or a 3 or an S or soon a Y. Imagine getting up in the morning and deciding which tractor you'd like to try to start today. Just for the fun of it.
It'd be taking you all day.
Just for the fun of it. And then drive the farm. Give some younger grandchildren a thrill maybe. That's impressive. I suspect these spots over here is because some of them are across the street. Honestly, these are some tractors. I ain't never seen nothing like this. This one says it's from 1916. So what is this? A mill? Huh. It just reminds me what you might see at a grist mill. So it's a rock crusher? It'll sound so soft and smooth and calm for something that might crush rocks, but I hear you. I'm sure it's plenty powerful. It's what?
Crusher.
For gold extraction.
Gold extraction, yeah. Making little rocks out of big rocks.
I guess it crushes them and then they come down here?
Yeah. Yeah, this I want to.
We have it running at
The boiler.
Yep, the boiler. We have it running at very low speed pressure.
So this thing makes barrels. The old-fashioned barrels, wooden barrels. You put the wood on there and then shape it.
And then shape it. I think my head is spinning with all of the antiques machinery we've seen today. Just
After 1950, what about 1850?
1850.
Yeah, maybe here's an 1850 bandsaw.
Wow. Yeah, this is a place JB would like. Maybe next year he should come in November and come with us for their 100th anniversary. It's the 6th through the 8th. November 6th through the 8th next year, JB. I'm thinking you'd like this. So the one boiler serves all of these demonstration machines. Don says this is a generator.
This is, I guess, steam driven. And this electric generator.
Wow.
I don't have my glasses.
Here, have my glasses. We sharing today. Don't laugh. When you get over 40, you need reading glasses. It'll happen.
It says volt, but I can't read it. It says amps, and I can't read it. But definitely this is a generator. Or alternator, whatever, but I can't read it.
What was it, Donnie?
It's a 120 volt generator, 160 amps, 20 kilowatts, it says.
So this is the stuff Andy was talking about having pulled out of some of the hydroelectric plants and replacing the, what did he call it? The
Yeah, put it out in the switch yard. Yeah, but this is all granite. That's not metal, that's actually ceramic.
yeah, it looks like it needs to be in
A museum.
yeah, Frankenstein. It's the Frankenstein looking stuff.
Kilowatt, amp hours, AC amps, DC amps, that's probably the exciter. There's two of them.
That is fascinating.
There's probably the kilowatt hour meter. This kilowatt hours measuring how much energy will be generated instantaneously. Right here it goes up to 30 kilowatts.
So that's another style generator?
Three-phase, 60 kVA, rated at 50 kilowatts, 900 RPMs, 2300 volts. So this would be actually closer to distribution.
Wow. This place is fascinating. This is what's driving the belt. I wondered what this was. It is a gold press. Oh my goodness, that is the cutest little fire truck ever.
It's not a toy. It's an
Actual truck.
fire truck.
It's so cute. Who made it?
It looks European because it's right-hand drive. It's probably from Europe. Remember, they don't
Right.
have big streets.
That's a smaller truck. Oh yeah, there is a pump on that little truck. That's pretty cool. It's all in Japanese.
Yeah, it's in
So Hong Kong would have drove on the right side?
Yeah, they drive on the right side in Hong Kong also. But Japan, again, they like smaller vehicles.
Something here at the tractor show that I know Michelle would love to see. One of her kids that misbehaved is in there. Just kidding. There's so many vehicles here. My head is spinning now. This section is labeled construction equipment. This is a Mack truck, International. I guess if you owned a lumber yard or were moving stuff around, this was your vehicle. This is a lion on the end of this, and the shape to me implies circus, and then I think it's got an organ in it, is what that is. I can't swear to it though. Anybody know what this would have been? More tractors. Well, these are modern enough you might have had air conditioning inside the cab. These are from the 70s. Okay. Note to self, next year bring some Thai animals from Guardian Angel to leave on some of the tractors. There's quite a few, and I'm sure adding a couple would be nice. Trying to figure out what a challenge tractor is. It's orange. It's got a knight on the front of it. A shield and a sword. It's got a knight. You know, King Arthur in the Round Table, it's got a knight. It's in full body armor. Just now got it. The arrow actually turns with the wheel. Right. So if you're up high on the tractor and you're having trouble figuring out which way you're going,
right. Well,
you look at the arrow.
That's right. It's not moving very fast.
Sure.
You're keeping it running. You're doing other stuff.
Right.
It's got a worm gear. The steering rod turns the worm
Thanks
gear.
to Lego League, I know what a worm gear is.
That's right. So that worm gear is turning that spur gear. So once you turn this wheel, it stays. Huh. You don't have to hold on to the steering wheel.
That's great. Ingenious. At the very back, there's a stuffy, a doll. That's where the person stood. That's where the wheel is. Seeing some great radiator ornaments today. Electric wheel company, but it runs on kerosene. My pop back in the 70s, he had a lawn tractor and it had this kind of a seat. It was not comfortable. Durable, but not comfortable. We not ever seen this on Scott Mason, the Carolina Traveler? Maybe this year? Maybe next year for the 100th anniversary.
Yeah, maybe so.
I don't know. I mean, we had no clue this was an hour or so from our house. No clue. And next November, they're doing it again.
It's just a different tractor. You know, the tracks do good on really soft ground, buddy.
Right. We just saw Johnny for a minute. He's doing that teenager thing. He needs somebody to pal around with, though. Another teenager. You know, parents safe nearby, but not on top of you.
You advance it back to the car and or maybe. I walked up, and before I saw anything, I just told this gentleman right here, that is a smooth running machine. And he pointed out, you do see the nickel.
Oh, wow.
So I guess smooth running would be the word. Yeah. So what was it originally used?
I saw it come out like Continental. The buildings on this property are endless, and every building has hundreds of pieces of equipment in it. I have never seen anything like it. I mean, it would take you as long to thoroughly enjoy this as it would, you know, the big museums in Washington, D.C.
This building is circus equipment. Wow. That's like a organ out of a merry-go-round, kind of like what we have, I think, at Pullen Park and Chavis Park in Raleigh. And of course, your concessions. All right, now I'm about to cry because when I walked in this room, I immediately felt like I was in Asbury Park. 6-year-old little girl, I remember it like it was yesterday. And this organ is actually from Asbury Park. I mean, I'm emotional about it. I remember the gorilla mostly and how frightened I was, and the man at the bumper cars, he let me go on the bumper cars the last time I was there, even though I wasn't old enough, because I was having a meltdown. And I remember getting lost in the House of Mirrors and Dad having to come in and rescue me. John's pointing out the boiler on the left and the peanut roaster on the right, and I guess the popcorn popper straight ahead. It's all peanuts. He says it's all peanuts. Spins, yep. Even with all the pictures and video I've taken today, I still don't feel like I've done everything here justice. Wow, Don said that was a generator. I asked him, what am I looking at in here? Honestly, at this point, I don't know what I'm looking at. I'm still enjoying looking though. A lot of these pieces of equipment have chutes on them, like you would drop something in there, I don't know what, and it would crush it, separate it, process it somehow. Oh, this one has a kitty cat.
Yeah.
Wow, you don't see too many of them anymore. And here's a real Ronald McDonald. And there's another McDonald's sign up there. I mean, this place, it just goes on and on. Oh, and my goodness, that's a train car, a caboose. Scott and Company, the Tiger Thresher line, Richmond, Indiana, USA.
There's another 50 steam-powered tractors.
Yeah, this is a new building. This is not a repeat. This is not a repeat building. Wow, this
steam.
Teeth talk. This dog, he looks mean. Avery Company. Well, Donnie, here's my tractor. It says kitten on it.
There you go.
I wonder if she purred for the guy that ran her. The Westinghouse Company. Now I'm going to try to pronounce this. Schenectady. Did I get it right? New York. Wow.
This is the steam motor, or engine. So that boiler generates the steam for this, which basically turns this wheel. That's a power takeoff.
So you move it around where you need power.
You have to drag this. Probably horses would probably drag it someplace.
Well, I feel like the only thing I haven't done today is take a ride on a tractor. Advance, LaPorte, Indiana. It's a Rumley, minus the square looking funnel. You know what I love about this place? There aren't 5 zillion safety signs. But because it's an agricultural thing on a farm, they're basically covered. You can't, I mean, they're covered. But I think it's great. Like, you can actually go and get dirty and smell fumes and see stuff, and it's inherently dangerous. And you know what? That's the great part about it, is you actually get to experience it. There's none of this worry stuff and can't touch, and it's real. It's the real deal.
Well, let's put it this way, you're likely to hurt yourself, not it.
That's true. Yeah, you're not going to hurt the equipment. If it's lasted this long, it's here to stay, at least if it don't rust. And this guy's done an excellent job with these buildings and protecting these things. I mean, look, there's all these tripping hazards down on the ground, and nobody's, you know, worrying over you whether you're going to trip on it or not. Coal or wood?
I think this is coal.
Wow, look at the detailing even on the handle. Geyser Works Peerless, Waynesboro, Pennsylvania, USA. Emerson Brantingham Company. Yeah, that looks like a locomotive as much as it does a tractor.
This thing come rolling up to your house, you'd be pretty thinking of a train coming up.
The Geyser Manufacturing Company, Waynesboro, Pennsylvania, USA. Peerless, designed by F.F. Landis, something like that. Guy's into history too. Grist mill, wine and cider press, cotton gin, maple syrup, printing shop, blacksmith, cobbler shop, woodworking, quilting, bees and meat. I mean, this is the cotton gin, thus the cotton. So we paid $10 a piece to come in today. Totally well worth it. I mean, imagine what it takes to restore and build these buildings and keep this stuff up for future generations. And I consider that to have been a bargain.
1 weekend a year. He's open 1 weekend.
Yeah, 1 weekend a year. Oh wow, and it even does have like a real little train area. I suspect it went more around the property. Oh my goodness. That is a pretty car. I love you, Ruby, but that is a pretty car.
There goes the stainless steel.
Oh my goodness.
Almost as quiet as an electric car.
Seriously, right? So it's a Dodge Coronet, a Rambler, Adventura, a Beetle, I'm right here. I didn't know Andy was here visiting today, helping to keep everybody in order. I'm sure Barney Fife's here too. What is that, Donnie?
Bicycle with a real lawnmower. You got a nice smooth yard.
Seriously, right? You just bicycle around the yard and mow at the same time, huh? You see this stuff right here? That would be this guy right here. Running a milling operation in here. Guess they're gonna send it down in front of that blade. Yeah. piece of lumber that came off. That's pretty impressive. I guess the first run they got the bark off. Now they got to reposition it before they send it back through. I'm on the other end of the milling operation now. Don and this gentleman are having a great discussion about this particular piece of equipment.
So this sawmill, powered by that hit and miss tractor up there, got a great big long belt. So they just fasten that long down, or in the process of fastening a new long down. This is actually working. It's turning that belt, which is driving the sawmill. So you can actually hear it. When he cut into that log, you can hear it. It's hitting on almost every stroke. Now it's not hitting on every stroke. It's just idling. You hear that? That's every stroke. She's firing every stroke.
See, I told you, farmers, they're protected. It says, warning, under North Carolina law, there is no liability for an injury to or death of a participant and an agritourism activity conducted at this agritourism location if such injury or death results from the inherent risks of the agritourism activity. Inherent risks of agritourism activities include, among others, risk of injury inherent to land, equipment, and animals, as well as the potential for you to act in a negligent manner that may contribute to your injury or death. You are assuming the risk of participating in this agritourism activity. So the farmer, he is totally protected. And rightly so, I'm sure. I kind of feel like I'm at the NC Museum of Art. Either that or we've gone to visit the Stargate. I don't know what that is from, but it is way, way cool. These are really cool, but they're also really expensive. We've been hearing the little train go around, but I hadn't seen it. It's kind of over here to the side. Nice thing about this place today too, they didn't charge extra for any of the stuff you could do. Really impressed. This is bringing back memories of the Durham Museum of Life and Science, right?
Yep, doing this for old times.
Every time we went, we had to get on the train up there. It would be me and 2 or 3 kids all smushed in on one seat. Those were the good old days. Hey, Donnie.
Hey, pretty girl.
I sure have had a good time today.
I have too.
I love you.
Yeah, I love you too. He's doing his tender and he's putting water in it.
He needs water before we can go. He really is checking everything to make sure it's in good running order.
Oiled everything.
You must do this like every 5 runs.
Every couple runs, that's right.
He tooted the whistle. I missed that part.
I'll tell you what, this thing ain't probably gonna be that slow.
Oh wow, we got a train bridge. I do believe they may have excavated that just to say that we went over a bridge. That's great. There's some more rail train. It's chilly now that we're on the loop. Oh wow, there's where the tractor pull is. Look at all the tractors over there now.
Oh, I wish I had known those were over there. I thought Missouri was the loading dock at first. Here's a 7,500 horsepower.
Ending down our day here. We're back across the street, and they said it was an International Harvester sales and service. I'm not sure if it's a reproduction or he really served that purpose at one time. Harley Davidson motorcycles.
Today, this is bigger than this NC State Transportation Museum.
Yeah. I mean, I likened it kind of to the mall up in Washington, D.C. There's so many buildings and so much history here. It's, I guess they're setting up for a banquet.
There you go. That's what I want. Self-propelled.
That is neat. Really cool. Well, there's Blue Blizzard right where we left her. We're all tired and I just didn't film anything inside, but if you're ever south of Sanford and Tramway, North Carolina, you really should come to the diner. Great food and great service.